That we reconvene in open session and adopt certification of closed session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we reconvene in open session and adopt certification of closed session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Madam Secretary.
Whereas the Dinwiddie County School Board has convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas paragraph 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Dinwiddie County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board. Dr. Elaine J. Pearson, District 1.
I certify.
Dwayne G. Walker, District 2.
I certify.
Barbara T. Pittman, District 3.
I certify.
Mary M. Benjamin, District 4.
I certify.
Jason L. Brown II, District 5.
I certify.
All have certified, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. If we could, at this time, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Janice is going to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to, well, I guess I should ask, do we have any amendments to the agenda?
There are no amendments to the agenda this evening.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the agenda as it's been presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? The motion carries. All right, it's time for our closed session report. Well, for us to approve that. We'll entertain a motion to,
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the personnel list as presented.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the personnel list as it was presented to us this evening. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, I believe Mr. Walters is coming at this time.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come talk to you today. We have been battling, not really battling, but we've been trying to get our football field and it's football/soccer and practice field in shape. And we're getting ready to hopefully add another playing type surface. It'll be used for practice, but it'll be a Bermuda grass field. And the lawnmower we have right now is a rotary lawnmower. It is used for Bermuda grass, but it's more used for grass that's 2 inches or above. So our Toro 3505D, I'm asking that we surplus that mower. We have found someone who's interested in that mower, so we're going to surplus it and then do an even trade for a John Deere reel mower. I gave you copies of the two mowers. The John Deere is a 8000A, which is a Bermuda mower that cuts down to 1/4 of an inch, as you would see on like a golf course, maybe on a putting green or something. But this allows us to take our football field and any other field we have that's Bermuda down to 1/2 an inch, which makes it a more appealing playing surface. It also keeps the Bermuda more healthy and helps our field to stay in shape longer. We are doing this in conjunction with our current vendor who works on our field, who's the expert on sports fields, and he has checked both mowers and he finds that they're equal value. Ours is actually worth a little more, but they're calling them equal value for the surplus trade. So I just ask if any questions I can answer. If not, then I just ask for an approval to surplus this.
If there are no questions, we'll entertain a motion to approve the,
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept classifying the Toro 3505D as surplus.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded that we classify the Toro mower as surplus for the sake of this trade.
That's correct.
Okay. All in favor?
Do I need to amend my
Do we need to
motion?
amend that motion?
I think all you have to
need
do
to
is
classify
surplus it. Yeah,
surplus,
I
okay.
think purchasing we can do, which is essentially what we're
Okay,
doing is
cool.
purchasing the other
All
mower.
right. So the motion is that we
So, right,
classify the Toro as surplus, and that's already been made and seconded. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. And is Dr. Clay coming for the VSBA policy?
No.
That's you, Dr. Weston. Thank you.
So every school year, we engage with VSBA, that's where we get our policies from. This is, we have to approve the contract, so we can pay for those services. What is the cost of it this year? It is $2,500, which it has not gone up, but this allowed, they give us the policies for the entire year, and then we adjust them based on our school system. So this is just you approving for us to enter into a service agreement with VSBA in the amount of $2,500 for policy services.
Any questions? No question.
I don't have any question. I think we do this yearly.
Do it every year.
It's an annual
It's
thing.
Yes, instead of us having somebody on site that we would have to employ to do our policies, although we do specifically take them and adjust them based on ours. They do all the work with relative to Virginia code, legal services and the like. They take care of all that for us. This is something we do every single year.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We already do have it in the budget to pay for this.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the VSBA policy services agreement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the VSBA policy services agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. And Dr. Weston, I believe, has a budget presentation for us at this time.
Okay, it is now. I thought it was on. So thank you so much. It's hard to believe that we have been working on the 26-27 budget. I can't believe March is here next week. It's just this year's gone by very, very quickly. But I'm here this evening to provide to you our first iteration of a balanced budget. And I say that because there's still a lot of uncertainty that's coming out of Richmond. We still have to work with our Board of Supervisors to determine we're going to work through some things with them. And then we know that we're going to come back to you at some point with some revisions. But so this is the first version of our budget based on the governor's budget that was given to us back in December. I'd like to thank Christy Fleming. She's here with us this evening as well, our Chief Finance Officer. And she's here to provide any specific information relative to the numbers. She is really the numbers brain behind all of this that we put together. But I would be amiss if I did not speak to all of the directors and the chief members of the cabinet who really worked diligently to make sure that we put together this balanced budget for you this evening. Anytime that, hold on. I don't know. Now it is. Anytime you enter into spending of the public's money, you need to start, we should always start with a zero-based budget, and you start by asking yourself, what is it that we're trying to build here? What's our vision for the future? What do we want Dinwiddie County Public Schools to be? What is it? How will we know that we've been successful? And we spent a lot of time this past school year because we've been working on our comprehensive plan, which I'm happy to say is going to be rolled out, we believe, in April. And this very much aligns with the work that you're going to see that has come out of that plan. We have a lot of community members assist us in putting that plan together, as well as our internal stakeholders. But we've put together what we believe is a budget that is going to be aligned with what our vision is for Dinwiddie County Public Schools. Interestingly enough, a couple of years ago, the county went through their comprehensive planning process and we assisted them. And they had some key takeaways. And what I found to be interesting about their comprehensive plan is they identified several priorities in their comprehensive plan as it relates to what's important to this community and the people that live here. And they believed that the school system was one of the top 3 priorities, and funding of the school system is one of the top 3 priorities for the community when they had written their 20-year plan. So they talked about broadband. You can see the other things there. They want this to be a safe place to raise a family or retire. Now, if you're going to raise a family, that means there's children. So we want to have good schools, because good schools do attract people to want to come here, right? There's a strong sense of community, which is also aligned with our school system. And they talked about the rural community, but they talked about also about broadband and development of talk concerns. But the school system is mentioned several times in the Dinwiddie Forward Comprehensive Plan. Now, we started last year working on our own strategic planning process, which is going to be part of our comprehensive plan. We started by doing the team that we hired to do our comprehensive plan did a lot of surveys with our internal stakeholders, our external stakeholders. They did a lot of community meetings, and some of the themes that came from those types of surveys and those kinds of conversations were this. What they wanted to be priorities for us was they wanted us to focus on student achievement. They want to make sure that we have exceptional teachers. They want to make sure that we're taking care of people, specifically students and their mental health and well-being. And they want to make certain that we have updated facilities both for students and for staff to work in. We also did conduct a survey last fall in which we asked staff members, what is it that you would like to see in the budget this year, and how would you like to see us spending the money? And one of the number one things had to do with compensation, of course, and benefits were very important to staff, as well as opportunities to continue to grow and to take coursework and to be licensed in their fields. So interestingly enough, that as we think about moving forward, it really is a culmination of both what the community wants from its school system and what we believe are the priorities of the school system that you're going to see in this budget this evening. Now, how schools are funded, I know this is not new information for you, but basically we get local, state, and federal funds. Now, all of this is spelled out in the Virginia Code, how schools get money. We get our state funds through various means, and I'm gonna reference a document here. We also receive our local funds. There is a formula that they use in order to determine how much a community should be paying to support the locality, and I'm going to show you that as well. And then we also receive federal funds. Most of our federal funds are based upon our economically disadvantaged students, and that typically is the amount of money we receive based on, so the higher the number of economically disadvantaged students, the higher amount of federal funds that we receive in order to support them. I'd like to reference one of the documents that you have in your teal folder there. Let's see. The first one that I'd like to reference is the one that says that talks about the revenue projections. Oh, did I do that? Oh, will you will you go back to that page for me? Thank you so much. I'll try not to be pushing the buttons over here. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So if you go to the one that at the top says revenue projections, what that's going to show you, it looks like this. Okay. This is just going to give you a sense of when the governor's budget came out in December. On the left-hand side, this is the, excuse me, this is very, very tiny. Okay, on the left-hand side, what you see there is the amount of the fiscal year 2026 budget that we see there on the left-hand side. On the purplish kind of lilac side, on the right-hand side, that's the fiscal year 2027. That is the governor's proposed budget. Those are our numbers that they are recommending for Dinwiddie County Public Schools. Now, what we did is we adjusted that a little further, is that we took the number based on a reduction of about 125 students. So the numbers there that you see on the right are what we built this budget based on. So these are the state funds. So for example, you see our SOQ programs. And in the governor's budget, it was 200. This is very, very tiny. It was 200 and, no, excuse me. Can you pull it up on the screen? It could, you don't have it on the screen there. Okay, then I guess not.
Which line are you looking at?
I'm trying to figure, yeah, for example, for the state funds under the SOQ programs, And that amount of money is,
Total state funds or
yes, okay, I can see it here, I think.
just under SOQ funds?
Yes,
40,199,952.
okay. And so, but, okay. So you're looking at the governor's, right? All right. And then under that is we have incentive programs. For example, we have the VPSA technology incentive, compensation supplements. We receive well, there's no bonus payment this year. We get at-risk programming, Virginia preschool programming, and the like. And so these are the types of funds that we receive from the revenue that we receive from state funds. But once again, we reduced it. I have another screen that's going to show you all these numbers. So I'm going to not talk to this particular piece of paper because it's hard to look at. The local amount of money that we receive has to do with the local's ability to pay, which is called the local composite index. And so you can see there the three ways in which that fund is calculated. The local composite index for Dinwiddie County is 0.3186, and that is an increase of what it used to be. And that is determined by the real value of real property. That's weighted 50%. It's the adjusted gross income, which is weighted 40%, and it's the taxable retail sales, which is weighted 10%. And what that does is it gives an amount of money that says that your locality should be paying to support public education. Now, the more that the locality is able to pay, the less that typically the state is going to offer, right? So as we continue to be a wealthier county, it is beneficial for the county, but it also means that the county leans in to provide more in an effort to support our school system. Okay. And as far as federal funds, we are not going to go into any of the grants today, but we do receive a little over $300,000 in federal funds, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. All right. Just some numbers for you. We have about 4,100 students, including pre-K, and we have kids that attend regional and other kinds of placements. We have 7 schools, which are pre-K through 12. We have 3 regional programs that our students attend: Appomattox Regional Governor School, Maggie Walker, and Code RVA. We have the Career and Technical Center, which is Rowanti. 100% of our schools are accredited, but I want to talk a little bit about performance because I think this is important. We went to a new performance measure for this upcoming school year, a new way to gauge we have new performance metrics for this year. Sunnyside Elementary School, out of a point out of 100, came back at a 91.6, and they received the rating of distinguished. Midway came in at 86, and Dinwiddie High School came in at 89.2, so they barely missed the distinguished rating. Both of them came back on track. Dinwiddie Elementary School came in at 80.5, Dinwiddie Middle School at 74.4, but both of those, they showed tremendous growth, even though the state is saying they're off track. Both the schools are making a lot of growth. As a matter of fact, Dinwiddie Middle School had been federally identified and is no longer federally identified, which is a tremendous celebration. Southside Elementary School came in at 74.4, Sutherland Elementary School at 73.1. Both of those schools do need intensive support, but both of them also did see growth in the areas of reading and mathematics. As a matter of fact, Southside Elementary School was named as one of the schools in the Commonwealth as far as the growth seen with English learners. So we are seeing growth in our schools, so I just want to be clear that the schools are moving in the right direction as far as the performance metrics go. All right, here's some other numbers to note. We are the 4th largest employer in Dinwiddie County. We have about 668 employees, and you can see there how that plays out. It speaks to the SOQ funded. Those are the standards of quality. The state says, here are the positions that you should have in a school system, and says, here are the positions we're going to fund. And so they fund about 340 of our 668 positions. But as I often give you this example, we feel very strongly about having small class sizes, and especially in our early learning programs, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade classrooms. And in order to do that, I mean, they believe class sizes can be relatively larger. So we like to keep those numbers below 20 if we can do that, which means that we put additional teachers in schools so that we can keep those class sizes small. They also believe that when you look at the Virginia Code says that a fifth grade classroom can go up to 35. Well, the last time to put 35 fifth graders in a classroom, that's a lot of big bodies in a classroom. So we also like to keep those class sizes very small. So in an effort to do that, we have other positions that we have in our budget because we want to keep the class sizes small and manageable for teachers so they can do the work that we need them to do. Our buses travel close to 2 million miles every year. We serve about 750,000 meals each year. You know, all of our students receive breakfast and lunch. About 12 languages are being spoken in our schools, and that continues to grow as our English language learners that population continues to increase here. There's about 10,000 devices used for one-to-one instruction in our school system. Our maintenance team is currently taking care of almost 1 million square feet. Keeping it clean and keeping it maintained, as we saw most recently with the snow. And I put this information over to the right because I think this is very important to know. These are the percentage of students that have been identified as economically disadvantaged by school. The reason why this is important is because if you think about needs of young people, you've got to be able to meet these basic needs before you can sometimes get to the other stuff. And as these needs continue to grow, we got to make sure kids are being fed and taken care of before we can get to the rest of the stuff. So you see there, Dinwiddie Elementary School, 67% of their students are identified as economically disadvantaged. Midway is 50% of students. Southside 76%, Sunnyside 75%, Sutherland 73%, Dinwiddie Middle 66%, and Dinwiddie High School 61%. Those are large percentages, and we are seeing those numbers continue to escalate. I will also say that about 13% of our students are all identified of students with disabilities, and that number also continues to grow as well. And those are just numbers you have to remember when you think about programming in your schools, because those SOQ funded positions don't always match what we need in our classrooms and in our schools. Okay. We do offer a number of personalized learning options for our young people. And once again, some of this is funded, some of this is not funded, some of this is what we offer is very specific to Dinwiddie County. We call it the Dinwiddie Difference. We offer a RISE program, which is an evening school for our students. Sometimes they're long-term suspended, and we want them to have an option, a place where they can go and continue their learning. So these young people go to school Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6 in the evening. We have teachers there and an administrator there so they can continue their learning. We have early learning. We started with 1 or 2 preschool classrooms. Now I'm proud to say we have preschool in every school, and we've done a great job partnering with our community agencies as well to make sure that every student that's age 3 and 4, has the opportunity to learn from an early learning program, because we believe and we know to be true that when students have those quality early learning opportunities, they do better when they get to us in kindergarten. We do offer a number of opportunities for college credit courses, and we've had great success in that. And you know that maybe, I think it was like 8 years ago or 7 years ago, that we had our first student graduate with the associate's degree. And last year we had 17 students graduate with an associate degree. And right now we have 72 students over there that are working on their associate's degree. So that number continues to grow. And so we continue to provide that opportunity for young people, both at Bright Point and at Richard Bland. We do have virtual learning for young people so that, who prefer to learn in a more self-paced environment. And we also provide private day treatment for some of our students. We partner with Rivermont. We have Encompass Learning Center, and that's not for behavior. That's more for students that need an environment where maybe we need to accelerate them. Maybe they were retained in elementary school and we want them to have the opportunity to catch up and get back with their cohort. So they learned over at Historic Southside. And so we have several teachers over there, and they work self-paced, but they work with instructors over there, and it's very personalized. We partner with Chesterfield Recovery Academy for any students that are now doing, for example, are in some type of recovery program for any type of an addiction. They can be a part of that and still graduate on time. We have GED for students and adults. Our student GED program is very successful, and we've had more graduate from there this past year than we've ever had. We have a lot of accelerated opportunities. We have middle school students now that are taking high school courses. A lot of 8th graders now go over to the high school to be a part of our ROTC, our mathematics classrooms, lots of electives and the like, so they can start earning credit. And Keys Academy is for students that we know we've tried a lot of options here, and maybe they need a much more structured environment, and we have the opportunity to send 3 students to work there. So we have a lot of personalized learning opportunities that we fund through the local budget here. And I spoke to some of these. The bottom line is we're not preparing our young people for the future that we want for them. We're preparing them for what their future is going to look like. So right near our graduation rate is about 92%. 47% of the enrollment at Rwanee is Dinwiddie County Public Schools. I spoke to the 17 students that were the class of last year that graduated with both an associate's degree as well as advanced diploma. Don't know how they did that. That was quite remarkable. But, imagine you come out of high school and you either go right into the workforce or you go into your 3rd year of college. And now we have 72 kids over there. And then you can see the credentials that were earned by our senior class, our post-secondary enrollments at 52%. Although I will say that I don't believe that every young person needs to go into college anymore. Some of our young people go right into the world of work and do quite well because of the opportunities that we're providing for them now in high school. And college credits, you can see there, earned 101, and 100% of our kids have a career and academic plan, which starts in the middle school level. Okay. This should be very familiar to you. Our current vision and mission, the bottom line is, our parents want what we want for our young people, and that is we want to make certain that our young people, and so whether you have kids in high school right now or you had kids at one time, you wanted them to graduate on time and you wanted them to graduate with a plan so that they could be successful for everybody. And we truly believe that if we partner with the community and we partner with the county, that we can make sure that that happens. Now, this is going to be hot off the press. Nobody else has seen this just yet, but we've had a team that's been working on our enhanced version of our vision and mission. So we felt it important to include that in this presentation because it is driving a lot of our work currently. But this is why we get up every morning. So our mission our mission statement is going to be, and we'll be bringing this to you in April. Bottom line is this: rooted in community, grounded in care, and committed to every child's growth. Dinwiddie County Public Schools cultivates learners to become confident, compassionate, and prepared to reach great heights in life beyond graduation. So 2 things really jump out there as I'm thinking about this budget. It's about every child and making sure that they're reaching greater heights beyond graduation. We often say here, and we say this every day, the most important day for our young people is the day beyond graduation. Do they have a plan? Do they know where they're going? Do they know what they're doing? And is it a viable plan that will take care of them for the rest of their lives? Right? And as parents, I know that's what I want for my children, and I want that for the students here. And there you can see our vision statement there as well that's now driving our work. But we truly believe there's no limit to how high our young people can soar. Okay? All right. So once you start to do the budgeting process, everything's built on enrollment. Let's start with the priorities. We first started with the priorities, and I spoke to you previously about we surveyed our staff, we surveyed the community, we looked to the strategic plan, we looked to the county's strategic plan. We said, what are going to be the priorities for this year's budget? What should we be focused on? What do we need to do? What's the data telling us that we need to do differently to be more successful, to engage our young people, but also to accelerate them? And really three things really rose to the top: students, staff, and operations. The bottom line is this: when you build the budget, it's got to be, the priority has got to be based on your needs, and it's got to be on the very things that are going to enhance and accelerate student learning. And I believe that this budget is going to do just that. When we start to talk about the financial part of it, everything is driven by enrollment. That's how we receive the numbers that we get back from the governor's budget. And as you can see there, we went through an enrollment study a couple of years ago. I believe, Christy, was the last one. We did an enrollment study a couple of years ago because we really wanted to get a good understanding of where we were going, where we are as far as enrollment. Of course, they told us they felt like our enrollment would stay relatively stable. You can see there that we still are continuing to lose not lose, I don't want to say the word lose, but we are seeing a decline of about 100 students. Our October membership was 3885. So when we built this budget, we are trying to maintain some stability. So we're building the budget based on 3850. And you can see last year it was 3960, and you can see all the years prior. But we are seeing a little bit of decline. What the research says across the Commonwealth, because the Commonwealth has seen about a decline of 10,000 students in public education in the last 5 years. And so what they're saying is this: first of all, young people are not having as many children right now as they were having prior to COVID, which we don't typically talk about, but they're not having as many children now. So you don't see the younger children coming in. Also, there are virtual options that weren't necessarily available to families prior to this. So parents do like to opt for having virtual options, which they can accelerate their children and they can work at a self-pace. We are here in Dinwiddie County, we have seen an increase in homeschooling, probably about 100 students over the last couple of years. We are seeing a lot more religious exemptions in our community than we ever have previously as well. We don't see a lot going to private sectors. It's more teaching from home and teaching from in the religious exemption as well. But we do need to keep that in mind. So these are the numbers from that very small piece of paper that I referenced earlier. So you can see where the increases were, the SOQ programs that I referenced before, and that has to do with the things that they say that they'll fund. Here's what we're going to give you, and we'll fund these. That's $2.6 million. The incentive programs was a decline of $2.6 million. And there was a small decline in categorical programs. The lottery funding was 1.5 increase. Other state funds, a small decline of $49,000. But we do anticipate, based on an enrollment of 3850, an increase of $1.4 million for this budget. Now, once again, this is the beginning of it, and this is under the previous governor, so we don't know what's going to happen. We do know that the House and the Senate both just released their versions recently, and they're a little bit apart. So it'll be interesting to see when they come together, what it ends up being for us. But we do anticipate there being at least this increase of $1.4 million. And so let's break that down and show you what that looks like. The state over time, since fiscal year 21, this is based on the number of students on the right-hand side, and these are the increases we've seen from the state. So last year we saw just a slight increase, but we received $44 million from the state. And this year, what we're looking at is about a 3% increase, which is about $45 million. You're going to see a lot of that is in compensation, the compensation line for staff. Okay. Now with the SOQ funded, I told you before, remember they fund some positions, but not all positions. Sometimes they fund 3/4 of a position, or they'll fund half of an assistant principal, or they won't fund all the principals. Well, I think they fund all the principals now. Yeah. They now fund all the principals. They used to not fund all the principals. So it just varies from position to positions. So you can see there the state SOQ, the governor in December proposed a 2% increase for SOQ funded positions. So that means anybody on that list that they provide us, they're going to give us the funding, that 2% funding for those individuals. But those 300 other individuals, they provide us no funding for. So in an effort, we have to come up with the additional 2% to fund those other 300 positions that are in that work here. Okay? Now, we are recommending tonight, I'm recommending to you for teacher raises to be between 5% increase and 8.65%. I'm recommending that we do that in an effort to be competitive across the region. Because you're going to see here in just a moment how everyone is really focused, hyper-focused on teacher raises. And we want the money to go to where it impacts students the most, and that is with teachers. Now, so if the governor's budget does not change and it stays at 2%, we've got to come up with the other 2% that's not funded. But we also have to, if we go with the 5% to the 8.65%, we've got to come up with all of that as well. Okay? Now, we cannot generate revenue, so that's where we have to go to the county and say, here's where we need your support in order to fund these raises for teachers. I will say that I appreciate Emily and Christy worked on it. What we've heard over and over again from our teachers is when you look at the teacher scale, we were having some challenges, especially with teachers that had been here for some period of time. And some of them were not making, we were raising the base of the new teacher scale. But what was happening is if you'd been here 10 years, 15 years, we needed to release some of the compression that was happening there. And that's why some of it's bigger than just the 5%, because we're releasing some of that compression in the scale. You have a copy inside of your folder of the teacher scale that we've proposed, so you can see what that looks like. So the beginning teacher salary would now be $58,500. Oh, I should put it on this before anybody else. Yes, before. You're right. Before it becomes public document. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
It was my working that I documented.
Yeah, we'll put that on there. Oh, it says proposal, Tim. It says proposal in the first column. Thank you. So you can see there, it's in the first column, but just want to make sure, I guess we stamp it everywhere before. And so you can see there, this goes up to 35 years plus, and you can see the difference in where the increases are. So at 23 years, not 23 years, it is 23 years experience. So at the 23 step is 8.65 increase. That's where that happens. So then it shows you a 10.5-month teacher, 11-month teacher, and a 12-month teacher, what the difference in pay would be. And believe it or not, we do have people that are on the scale that are over 50 years. They're way off that's great though. All right. Questions about the teacher scale before we move forward? This is only teachers. Yep, this is all teachers right now. Yes, ma'am. This is just for teachers. Okay, so this just shows you where we are in comparison to other districts across Region 1. We are proposing that the new teachers move up to 58.5. That's an increase of $3,900 for a first-year teacher. But the greater increase really has to do with the teachers that have been here some time and that have been very loyal to Dinwiddie County or that have a lot of experience. But you can see here. Now, I want to bring to your attention that the other numbers that you're seeing here are last year's numbers. So they have not published this year's, and all of them are projecting increases in their teachers. Especially, I know that Prince George will. I know that Richmond will. Henrico definitely will. Colonial Heights, Chesterfield. Chesterfield is proposing 5% increase, so that number will go up 5%. Prince George, I think, was at 3%, 2 or 3%. Sussex is working on theirs right now. So all of those numbers will move up. But that's not all of Region 1, but I felt like that those were the ones that we're the most competitive with as far as finding teachers. Richmond, Richmond, Petersburg, they're kind of in categories all by themselves because they have different funding, different kinds of funding than we have. Comes from lots of different places. They get a lot different funding from the state than we get. Okay. All right, so this is what the local transfer has looked like for the same time period. So you can see back in fiscal year 21, it was $15 million that the county provided us to support the budget. Remember, it's based on the local composite index. And it has been increased this year. And you can see that increase there at the bottom. This does not include any small or large capital improvement funding that they also help to support. Back in 21, there was a 0% increase there. Usually, then there was 500,000 the next year, 300,000, 200, and then in fiscal year 25, there was once again a 0% increase. Last year, there was a $500,000 local transfer that was to pay for teacher raises. And this year, what I'm proposing is $808,000 increase, and that is also to support teacher raises because I'm going to show you what it's going to cost us to do this with the teachers. Okay. Some other revenue that we do receive aside from the state and the local. News Story is basically Rivermont. They pay us rent to be in historic Southside, which is $240,000. Our driver education fees are $5,000. We get Chromebook insurance money. Basically, that goes right back into helping us with the Chromebooks for $40,000. And we have a vision grant for $11,000. And that works with our young people to check their eyes and also to do vision checks and also get glasses for our young people. And that's $11,000. So those are some other revenue sources that we receive. Here are some required increases currently. We have some tuition increases. I talked to you about Maggie Walker. I talked to you about ARGS. I talked to you about Rowanti and Code RVA. Every single regional program has increased their tuition this year, which is great, but it becomes a problem for us. The most significant increase is Rowanti right now is over $100,000. They're wanting an additional $100,000 from us. We're one of 3 districts that are partners in that school. We are bringing on board an engineering and manufacturing program this year. In order to do that, it is going to cost more money. We did get a $600,000 grant to bring the program in. That was mainly used for equipment and to get the classroom set up. But we need the money he needs the money in order to bring the instructor there and the books and things like that. So that's about $100,000 there. Maggie Walker and ARGS and Code RVA, it's just they want like a cost of living increase to be comparable to what we receive per pupil. They want theirs to be us to forward that money to them. Employee compensation, we do receive funding for this, although it's not enough because it doesn't cover the funding for all of our employees. But we do need to do the required increase of the 2%, or we just say we don't want the money and send the money back. But I think you've got to pay people and you got to give them an increase. There are some academic supplements that the supplement committee did approve that we need to fund for the upcoming school year. Our contracted services have increased. Our custodial have gone up about 3%. We pay them already over $1 million to do custodial work in our schools. Building maintenance has gone up, and there's a lot of contracted services there that we have to pay. And then landscaping services have increased. And then we have contracted health services. I know one is audiology, which is about $70,000. So once we have to contract with outside services, they typically charge more than if we were to have that person working inside. But we do a lot of exceptional education contracted services. Sometimes it's for occupational therapy. Sometimes it's for vision. I know it's for audiology. It just depends on what we need the service for because we don't have the personnel in-house. It is cheaper than hiring the person, but it does cost us a lot of money to provide the service. Utilities have also gone up. I don't know if you've seen your electric bill, but mine at my house has gone up pretty large, pretty big. And so we're seeing that also in our schools. So we want to make sure that we can budget for the rise in utility costs. Now, what I want to say to you is this, that our health insurance came back at a 12.5% increase. A 12.5% increase, which is an additional $755,000. Currently, that's not in this budget. Now, there are some requirements that we have with our health care that we have to fund some of it. You as a board already fund $6 million of healthcare costs for employees. And so we will maybe have to move some of this into the operating budget. But we just got this number, I think we got it yesterday, Friday. And so this is currently not in the budget, but it will need to be in the budget somehow. So last year, remember, we were able to push most of the cost out to the employee. But if you start pushing a 12% increase out to an employee, they didn't get a raise. So you have to think about that. But we have a lot of employees that are going through a lot of life right now. And so that's how it came back at 12.5%. So we have to think about that, and we've got to figure out how to make that work. But healthcare is just out of control right now. Okay. So the first priority was around students. I want to tell you what's in the budget relative to students. I talked to you about the regional programs and the tuition that we're paying for our kids that's in the budget for all 4 of our different regional programs. In addition to that, we send students to Brightpoint. This year, I met Mr. Massengill and I met with the president of Brightpoint. They need a $1,200 match with a tobacco grant for our students that would attend there. So that is going to be an increase that will be in our budget for the upcoming school year. We have some new positions in the budget. All of these are positions that work inside of the school. We've added a kindergarten and a first grade teacher. Once again, that's to make sure we keep those class sizes small enough and manageable enough for teachers. We've also keep expanding our autism classes. We need to keep that lower than 8 students. And so we know that we're going to be adding an additional classroom for this upcoming school year. We also continue to expand our early learning opportunities. So that's also going to be an opportunity for this upcoming school year. And our student support specialist for attendance was paid for out of a grant, and we're moving that position over to the operating budget because he's done a lot of great work with our schools, and we want to continue his work in working with our students that are chronically absent. Also, we want to take 4 positions and reclassify. These are positions that are currently in the budget, but we want to reclassify them from a 10-month to a 10.5-month position. And these are going to be, I think I spoke to you previously about the 3 schools that are federally identified for special education. These 4 positions right here will be based in schools, and they will serve as instructional specialists for special education. They will be 10.5-month positions, and they will work right in the school and work right with teachers and right with students in the schools. So the positions will be school-based and not based here. And then the academic stipends that were approved by the stipend committee. The second priority was the compensation, and this is what it actually costs. To do a 5% increase for all employees it costs $2.1 million. To do just the teachers, that would be that 5% to 8.65 costs $1.6 million. So that's why we're asking the county to help support the teachers by doing the other half of the instructional. Now, the transportation, one of the things this board talked about was how can we invest in our bus drivers? So we are recommending that we start the full-time bus drivers. We raise their starting salary to $25 an hour. Okay, so that's going to mean for the bus drivers anywhere from a 5% increase to a 32.5% increase. I think that'll attract some bus drivers, but I think it might as well. But when you see it's only $337,000 because when you're talking about salaries that have been relatively low, I mean, it's much needed, but I do think it will, make them feel valued and appreciated, but also will attract people and want to stay here as bus drivers. Although Mr. Walters and Mr. Tucker have done a great job minimizing our late buses, and the bus drivers have appreciated them so very much. And then that other salary scale, and this is the one you were asking about, where everybody else's position is on, it costs to do that scale, and that's every other position in the county except for transportation and teachers. Everybody else is on the UPP. That starts at $13.71 an hour. The first position starts at $13.71 an hour. If everybody were to receive a 5% increase to 5.15%, that costs $622,000. Okay. Questions about staff compensation as it's there?
When is that?
So that is not until, not yet. Mhm.
So
Yeah,
we are-
the county is already moving to $15 an hour, which is, it puts a little bit of pressure on us to do that because they've moved theirs to 15. We just can't, we can't do it yet.
It was gonna be more than the teachers
It was,
to do that.
yes, to start
So
it there.
In that category, if you take the drivers out and the teachers out and the whatever out, so basically talking about cafeteria and.
They're all in there. Mhm. They're on the UPP scale.
Okay.
They're all in there. Everybody else is in that one. Everybody from paraprofessionals, from cafeteria, everybody's there. You remember a couple of years ago, we moved paraprofessionals up, a couple of levels so they would receive more compensation. And we're going through a compensation study right now. The county finished theirs, and you're supposed to do it every 5 to 7 years. So we're going through a study right now to see where where all of our positions should be, and as far as competitive, yes.
It's still out there, the $15, but it's not gonna make it for this year.
Oh, they're still talking about it.
Yeah.
There's no way we can afford it unless somebody comes in to help us do
My
it.
understanding is the laws,
Neither can
the
the
law
state.
wouldn't take effect till 28 anyway, right? If they passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what she's saying is the county's gonna do theirs.
Well, the problem is that they've already done it. So what they do, they're already doing it.
Theirs is already starts at $15.
Yeah, so what it does is it puts a little pressure on us because
Right.
if you can do the same work there, even though it's, $1.30 more. And we have the same health insurance, so.
Yep.
It just makes us compete for the same people, So it'd be great if we could do it. The problem is we have more employees. They have 200 and some employees and we have 600, yeah. Yeah. Were you gonna ask something, Mr. Walker? You had your,
I just know she had her hand up.
oh, I'm sorry. Did you have any-
Comment, if you don't mind. So I understand health insurance increases, because mine went up 50%, and I have a company funded. I understand all that. I understand increases here. And I understand the concern with health insurance offsetting raises. Understand. Keep in mind, all of this will increase your percentage rate for your property taxes, real estate taxes. Because all of this determines that rate. So keep that in mind. Okay?
Well, that's already done it.
County
I got a new property.
budget,
My
county
new
budget is next week.
Well,
Yeah.
my assessment, I did get a larger,
Mm-hmm.
Not assessment, yes, I mean, but I'm talking about the rate at which the tax is determined for your new assessment. Even though your house went up $245,000, because the $100 rate went down from 83 to 64,
that's right.
it was an even wash for most of us. And mine went up 245,000. So, but all the monies, keep in mind, you're saying, we're worried about our employees because if we have to pay offset, or they have to pay the insurance costs out of their pocket, then it negates their raise. Well, if I increase from 64 cents back to 84 cents, their raise is gone anyway, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Know the whole picture.
Well, and yeah, that's for the people that live here.
Right.
You know, the ones that live in Chesterfield, and
They're already
paying it. Yeah, they're already doing it. Henrico, you know, places like that. All right. Other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. And this is Ms. Tipton, by the way. I should have introduced you. She's been very, in this past year, spent some time with us talking about budget and things like that. We met her last year during the budget process, so
One
we
of the-
appreciate her.
One of the things that's puzzling to me is the composite index, ours keeps changing, and it looks like we're wealthier and wealthier, if that's the right terminology. And yet, our poverty rates in our school
Yes.
are increasing. So I don't understand how that happens.
The composite index is based on data from 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Okay,
So what we're getting ready to see is based on data from 4 years ago. So it's gonna look at property taxes, income taxes,
yeah.
all of those things from, 22.
Yeah.
okay. So, it'll start to slide the other way, we assume, since well,
But
is
it
the,
also compares how well you're doing
Mhm.
as it relates to the other localities in the state.
In the state.
right,
So if you're looking at, and we say Fairfax County owns the composite index.
That's right.
essentially.
Right.
Because one little slight change at Fairfax, if theirs goes down, affects almost the
Everybody.
entire state.
Well,
Because there's this.
the composite
my
index
gosh,
is looking at 4 years ago. Is the poverty rate looking at 4 years ago?
No.
Yeah, the whole,
No.
Those poverty rates.
The
are
economic,
current.
that's
current.
most
Yeah.
recent.
It's
Okay.
just this formula for the state funding is based on data from 4 years.
4 years ago, I see.
That's why the funding formula needs to be
Yes.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it comes,
Have gone up, but not the overall income of people in the county.
That is correct.
We're counting, even though we look really good, because you can't buy a house on an acre of land for under $350,000.
That is correct. That is very correct. All right, so let me, so that's staff compensation. To give you a sense of, as you know, we're categorically funded. And so just to give you a sense of the expenses of this budget. So 44 million of the budget would go into instruction. And that's the largest percentage. You can see there, it's almost 70% of our budget goes to instruction. Everything about it touches kids, touches instruction, teachers, and the like. The next largest percentage, almost 8 million of our budget, is maintenance. And that's 12.6% of our budget is maintenance. The next largest is transportation, 4.3 million. Okay, and then you see technology is the next at $2.9 million for technology. That's 4.6% of our budget. Administrative is $2.2 million of the budget, which comes in, I thought it was like a couple percent. I don't see it on this chart for some reason. It's around it's more than the 2.6%, but it's right just above the attendance and health. And attendance and health is $1.6 million of the budget. What are the things that would be in attendance and health? Christy, can you speak to that?
Nurses, PT, OT, psychologists. And then the attendance portion we have an attendance clerk at the high school.
Every school.
And the
Mhm.
middle school.
Middle school.
That's it, yeah.
Mhm. So personnel typically.
Yes.
Mhm. So those are the 6 categories that the budget is in. So, and you can see that I will say, as far as maintenance go, we are seeing an increase in maintenance, and Matt's done a phenomenal job as he came onto his new position and really spent a lot of time going through every facet of the maintenance, all of our facilities, to determine what has immediate needs need to be taken care of, how to take care of our aging facilities, what repairs need to happen, how can we stay on, like, taking care of replacements and the like. So he's done a very good job with that. But all of that costs money as well. Okay, and here's the state monies. Once again, $45.5 million we expect overall from the state. We're requesting the local transfer of $17.4 million. There's $339,000 in federal monies, and then there's $285,000 in other monies that I spoke to earlier about the other revenue that we expect. So overall, it's $63.7 million, and we do expect to spend the entire $63.7 million. We do sometimes end up at the end of the year with some monies that, we never want to get right down to the $63 million. What typically happens in those moments would be that, for example, if we ended up with $600,000 at the end of the year, we go back to the county and ask them to return the money to us so that we can take care of some of our capital projects that would be on their capital plan, so we can take those off. So right now we're working on things like the tennis courts and projects like that have taken some time for us to get to, because that's part of their responsibility as well. The last priority here is the other fund, which is our operations budget. We're asking the county to maintain the $300,000 that they're giving us for small capital. Now, once again, this does not include the large capital projects that are things that are over $100,000 that we work with that committee over there to fund. We're part of a larger one for the entire county. What these funds take care of is helping us with fleet management. Jeff has a long list of small capital projects. For example, sometimes there are things that we plan for, and sometimes there are things we don't plan for. For example, this past year, we had some new students joining us, and so we needed a larger special ed classroom for the middle school. However, it was not outfitted and ready for it to receive the student that happened to be in the wheelchair who also needed help with changing and things of that nature. And so we needed to move them to a different classroom, but also outfit that classroom, redoing the floors, put some water kinds of things in there for them to change him and the like. So that was money that Jeff had to use small capital money in order to take care of. So sometimes there are projects that we can plan for, but most of the time it's things that we're not ready to handle. But that's what that money's for. He does have a painting schedule and a furniture replacement for all of our schools. And so the painting schedule it's just more touch-up paint. It's not to paint the whole school, but it's more to go in and pick places that need touch-up paint. Furniture is about replacing student furniture, typically. There is some in this budget to do a sidewalk repair. Those are for safety reasons, and some screening of all the gym floors to keep those taken care of in all of our schools. Okay. So the total county, when you add the $300,000 in addition to the $808 for Fund 205, and you add the $300,000 for 302, is $1.1 million. And once again, this does not include anything for the large capital. Okay. As I stated at the beginning of the presentation, we've got to make sure that the budget reflects the values and priorities of the community and its people. Thank you, Ms. Tipton, for your input. But what we heard from people is that we need to be focused on kids, on our staff, and on operations. And I do believe that this budget does just that. But we also do need to think about, as Ms. Tipton said, what are the unintended consequences of making some decisions when you start moving things around. We do have some next steps. The General Assembly, we've got to get a final budget at some point from Richmond. We don't foresee that happening before probably May. Do you think? We don't know. We do have a 2x2 meeting with Mr. Walker and Ms. Pittman with the county on Monday. The county will do their considerations for our first version of the budget. The school board will need to approve a balanced budget, and then the county would also need to approve their budget as well. And that's where we are with everything. We're happy to answer any questions that you have or any things you want us to think about as we go back to the table.
Dr. Weston, I don't have a question. I just wish to make a couple comments.
Sure.
I really appreciate the manner in which you presented this budget proposal to us by telling us what it was that the county said the priorities were, what it was that our citizens said the priorities are, and then trying to match that up with how you set up the budget. I like the way you presented it. Now I just need to go look at the numbers and
Yes,
make the
ma'am.
comparison.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
It's going to take time. I mean, you need to match it up with the detail that Christie has provided you there, and then we can answer any specific questions you might have about requests.
Is the healthcare cost, or the healthcare cost, is that a final number, or are we still in negotiations?
That is
or-
final.
That's the final one.
That's hard.
Last time they came back, we started with a big number, and they came back with a one-digit number, and this
Yeah.
year they came back with 12.5%.
They gave us 15 and came back with 12.
Yeah, started with 15. I think I had asked some of the other superintendents, and we were all seeing the same kinds of things, but we've had some relatively big claims this year,
Yeah, that
which
makes a
is,
difference, yeah.
it happens. I mean, people have a lot of life going on.
I just want to comment for the record. You and I think I'm simple-minded, and so to me, when I think of budgets, I think of, okay, you fix what's not working, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so for my entire tenure here, the loudest squeaks are coming from transportation and
Literally
the
and
need for
figuratively.
teachers, yeah. And so I appreciate that you guys address that very directly and with some oomph in this budget proposal. And so I don't think anyone can say we're not trying at this point to address those things. So I appreciate that.
I just want to be clear too, that there's never going to be any amount of money that we're going to be able to pay people for their value. I mean, it's because the work they do, there's a no amount that we could pay teachers and bus drivers and school nutrition and paraprofessionals. There's never going to be enough, but I do feel like if we can do the 5% for them, I mean, I do feel like with other divisions not going there, I think that would be a great, good faith effort for us to take. But it does come with unintended consequences.
It does. But our job on this
Yes.
end is to look out for the students and the teachers and
Yeah.
the well-being of the school system. We know that it is connected into a big picture.
Yeah.
We all live here too,
Yes,
so it's a balance.
it is. But
It's a large raise.
it is, yeah.
I mean, when most of manufacturing is only getting a 2 to 3% raise, 5 to 8 is unheard of.
Well, we have to compete to try to keep our teachers, and
Yeah.
and lately it's been a teacher market. They can leave here and go somewhere
Anywhere
else and
else,
make
yeah.
more money, and
Not
you know.
in many places. Dinwiddie is in the top tier.
Yeah.
Well,
We got to try to keep them here.
we
If we can get some
need to try
broadband,
to
we
keep
might
them
do
here.
more.
I understand that. I understand. I'm just giving you another
Yes, ma'am.
perspective from outside.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's tough. I will say that we did see when we were looking, I haven't looked at the entire Senate and House, but the Senate is recommending a 3% increase. So if that happens, at least there'd be more money that comes out of Richmond.
Right.
But then we also have to come up with a 3%, but that would be help us as well. But
We wouldn't have to ask the
the
county for as
county
much.
wouldn't have to do as much to
Right.
support.
Do we know what the county is offering its employees?
I don't know that, we haven't heard that yet. But maybe we could ask that Monday night when we meet
Yeah.
for them, the 2x2. I think that's a great question because that is something our employees do compare.
Their
Sure.
their budget meetings start next week. don't they?
Yeah, you'll be there.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Maybe you could
Friday.
tell us.
Yeah, I'll be in Alabama.
So be there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important because we all live in this community, right? And we have a lot of job alikes. So one of the things I am planning to prepare is to show the job alikes and to show there are some discrepancies between job alikes in both the county and the school system. And that shouldn't be. So if you have, for example, we have a human resources person, shouldn't they look the same? They should. But if they don't, I have questions about that.
Maybe that's where the focus needs to be.
Yeah.
On the dislikes.
Yeah,
Well,
where the
and-
discrepancies
And in
are.
our
Yeah.
case, we're supervising a lot more people. in
And we
that
do, we
position
supervise, yes,
than the
we
other person
supervise,
is. Right.
yes, a lot more people.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I do understand it because we all should be the champion and carry the banner for our team, but we're all Team Dinwiddie.
Yeah, we are.
And that's the piece that I want us to like come together and like, what do we want here as a community? What do we want? At the end of the day, what are we leaving behind for the people, for our young people? And like, do we want this to be a community where people come and raise their children, or is this really, what's this going to be for people? And what kind of schools will attract people to want to come here to live? You know, and this is the first year we've ever had challenges trying to get teachers in classrooms. We've never had the problems we've had this year. Qualified teachers. And that scares me. So that keeps me up at night. So we've got to do whatever we can do to keep the very best and brightest in the class and really retain the ones we have. We have some great teachers,
Yes, we do.
you know, and I want them to stop retiring. they have to retire. Keep them.
Dr. Weston, I think you have laid this out very well. It's very well explainable. You know, I can understand it, and I think what you've asked for, I think it's not unreasonable, but you have asked, and I don't think it's unreasonable. I haven't heard anything about our budget coming from the other side, not yet anyway. So you've done a great job.
I think once you're
And I
able to
thank
take a look at the numbers that back it, like you have the detailed information, I think that's going to help you as well because it's broken down by every department.
Yes.
So you can see the departments, so you see where the money is. You can see where there have been significant decreases in administrative types of places, so we can move the money over to instruction. So I think that'll help you as well.
And then coming from the community, they can see that
Yes.
you haven't left anybody out.
Yeah.
You know, as our chair talked about our bus drivers. You know, we always talk about when we give them more, they'll stay or they
We
will
wanna keep
come to
'em.
us. And you have touched every area of our system, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Just have to pay them.
I do have one question on the line item budgets, the one that's homebound. It's looks like it's drastically reduced. And are we saving money by using online courses or?
If you look a little bit down,
They-
right under that.
They moved it from,
We've got a new division between homebound and home-based, because
Okay.
they're two different, definitions. And so we originally had everything lumped in homebound, and so we set it up as there's a home-based and a homebound.
Okay,
And they mean different things, so if you look at one, it's minus, and then right a couple lines down, it's plus.
okay,
What's the difference? Homebound is about medical.
Mhm.
The doctor is saying a student needs to not be at school for a certain period of time. Home-based, is normally for students with disabilities that maybe, need to not be in school for a while or deal with suspension or
Yeah.
things like that. Thank you.
but yeah. Because even if they're suspended, they still need to, if they're special ed, they still have to get instructional services. Okay. And if you have questions after you've looked at all the information, that goes for you too, Mr. We're gonna get all that information for you. If you have any questions, just let us know. We're happy to get you any other information you have, but you have the detailed report as well.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Weston. Madam Secretary, do we have any citizens signed up for comment?
No one has signed up to speak tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any board members have comments that they'd like to make at this time? Anybody?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn.
It's been moved,
second.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah, these are 400.